What do you think is the reason for IPOB? Because at some point, it seemed as though they were clamoring for recession, and at some point, they said they want a referendum. But from your analysis, Gerald, what do you think that IPOB really wants?
IPOB actually, from the look of things and from what they represent, I think what they really want is a self-determination, which is somehow different from secession. So when you want to say you want to secede, most times secession is always accompanied by, violent conflict, which we termed wars, and which we have experienced before during the time Ojukwu and Gowon, when Biafra was trying to break away from the Nigerian country. So, but when you talk about self-determination, people want to take care of their own responsibility. They want to be on their own, because they want their voice to be heard. You get, just like what Nnamdi Kanu said last month. I think I listened to him. He said, and also with the meeting with the Southeast Senate caucus, he did say that the IPOB, the indigenous people of Biafra, that they will toe the line of civil disobedience to ensure that they get to their demand. Their demands are met, to see that they get the referendum that they want. And they thought to themselves that the actual way of going this is to do a test run of stopping Anambra's election. But that was a very wrong move. And leaders of thought, even the Nnamdi Kanu, has to call them to order that if you really want a change, if you really want to get what you want, if you really want restructuring, if you really want self-determination, you don't go about it that way. What you have to do is that get your candidates, put them online and get them voted in, so that they'll be the ones to speak, lobby the senators, so that they'll be able to, because even in the current Nigerian constitution does not give room for referendum. I feel that what IPOB should have done is to ensure that they lobby the senators from the south, from the southeast, and even middle belt and even southwest, to see that their demand
is in charge of the constitution review.
Yes, I mean, I know he's in charge, but he can't do anything, because everything has to, you have to get, the responses of other persons. You have to, lobby them to buy into what the product you're selling. You have to lobby them. Imagine the issue of, the constitution proceedings that, went through the Senate. The issue of, devolution of power, was turned down because some of our senators, I feel that maybe they have not gotten the appropriate information of what devolution of power means, and that was why they turned it down. But some other bills scaled through. So what IPOB should be doing, and even other agitating groups should be doing, is to lobby senators, make them to understand why they should approve referendum in our constitution. But I'm sorry to announce to you that the Constitution Review Committee, they have scaled through I think first and second reading, but such was not given attention to referendum.
What's your analysis of IPOB and Nnamdi Kanu so far? And right now he's missing. We don't know where he is. Do you think he just backed out of this whole battle?
Well, I want to use the words that he said: self-determination and secession. I believe the IPOB people, they are acting to, their words speak self-determination, but their actions are speaking secession. Igbo diplomats, first thing they should do is they should try and seek a way to start becoming relevant outside their place. Because if you notice, most Igbo diplomats, I believe most of them, when they go back to their land, they actually don't have that edge in their place. They come outside here, they say all what not, and good, fine. Outside the Igbo land, they are very relevant, but in their place, most of them really don't have ground. It's the villagers, it's most of the people that are in connect with the villagers, and that's the most important part of any place, because there are always three levels in a state or a structure. Now, the first level are the politicians, are the diplomats, the guys that control the economy. The second part are people that are well-known people that can actually link to the politicians, that can talk to them. Then the third people are the normal masses, people that go up and down. Now, those diplomats, they have a link with the politicians, fine. They have a link with the second group of people, but the masses don't really have a feel of what they are like.
What do you think has been the reason for the continued existence of the call for Biafra, even after almost 4 decades of the Civil War?
Well, I feel fine. The call for Biafra is majorly just for them to be on their own. The Igbos feel they should be on their own. But now, if you look at this, at like what I said before, now you want to be on your own. Now, find out most of the Igbo population, they are mostly scattered around Nigeria. Now, they are scattered around Nigeria. Now, if you check the places where Igbos are scattered around Nigeria, those places are developing. And I give kudos to them. Igbo guys are very good in business, in strategy. But you are developing outside your place. Now, come back to your homeland. Your homeland is not developing. Now, check most Igbos. Fine, they have 10 to 12 houses in Lagos. But they just have a mansion in there.
So you're saying that the Igbos are not marginalized by the federal government. Igbos are marginalizing themselves.
They are indirectly marginalizing themselves without knowing. So in a case where, okay, now we say, let's say there is a situation that happens now that they say, okay, they want to secede from Nigeria. Now almost all their wealth are not even in their place. Now it gets back to the situation that happened right 4 decades ago, which they have refused to remember. Now, if you notice, 4 decades ago, the same process happened 4 decades ago, where Igbos came to Lagos, they established in Lagos. They were establishing in Lagos then. They came to Benin. They came to places like Kano. They were establishing businesses. Now, you are establishing businesses outside your place, but the capital just stays outside your place. It doesn't go to your place. How do you get self-determination with that?
Gerald, what are your reactions to the federal government and the courts eventually saying that IPOB is a terrorist organization?
Okay, thank you very much. I feel that the federal government, coming up to pronounce IPOB as a terrorist organization is not really a step in the right direction, and of which can be challenged in any competent court of jurisdiction. And the Federal High Court has, said so. They still have to, make use of, the higher court, the appeal court, and even other ones to, if they want to counter what they. Because the group, one thing you ask yourself that, do they actually represent a terrorist organization? How do you define a terrorist group? Terrorist group, they do their actions, through a violent way to achieve whatever means they want to achieve. So is IPOB, do they really represent that? I know that more these things are coming out, because of, the statement, that could be created to the acting president. Professor Yemi Osibanjo, who was then acting president before the arrival of the president from UK. I think, if you remember vividly, he did say that, that anybody that makes hate speech, that such could be attributed to, act of terrorism. So I think that was where they drew that from. And again, I also want to cite that I feel, the government sending military force in a civil society, and when they have realized their mistakes, they now try to label the organization as a terrorist group, so that it will be that was the main reason they deployed such forces to that area. I think that could also be attributed to one of the reasons. So these two reasons could be one of the reasons why they gave them that label, a terrorist organization, and also to shut their mouth. But one thing I have to say is that when you continue to suppress a people, suppression does not, end an agitation. It rather aggravates it. You get? So what the government should have been looking at, should have, called on scholars, you get, and look at, various ways, violent conflicts have been resolved. You get? As I was coming to the studio, so I saw the Sun newspaper's banner headline of today, captioned that the Fulani killer herdsmen are not terrorist group by the presidency. So, and it should raise some questions, you get, because how do you then define a terrorist organization? You get, IPOB, I'm not a member of IPOB, point of correction. And I do not believe, I stand in one Nigeria, you get, I stand with that. So, but one thing we should also understand is that, you get, that, you know, when things keep recurring, I was asking myself the other day that, okay, that, why is that it looks as if that every successive government that comes to play try to, you know, I'm not trying to target a marginalization. No, I don't believe in that term. It kind of suppress, you know, the people of the Southeast, deprive them of the essential, even the past regime. And mind you, the IPOB guy, Nnamdi Kanu, he didn't start his radio station or even his speeches during this regime, but that's why people got it wrong. Everybody in the north, everybody in they feel that he started in this regime now because no, he started during the Jonathan's regime, and he was calling Jonathan all sorts of names, but he ignored him. And that was the strategy that Jonathan used. So, and it was even one of the things that made Jonathan to lose the election, but people don't know that. But that is the truth, because he went and brainwashed the minds of young people who should have turned out to vote, but they didn't turn out to vote. They just, you know, relaxed at home. And that was why, if you watch the votes that came from the Southeast in 2011 elections compared it to the votes that came in 2015 election, there were a lot of, you know, differences. So it should have been increased because, you know, people, you know, get to the age of voting, but that was, you know, different. So the point I'm trying to make is this, that you labeling IPOB as a terrorist organization because you listed that they were carrying broken bottles and they were, you know, they were, you know, because of the hate speech and also because of the matches they were carrying. I feel a terrorist does not carry a machete or broken bottle. He carries a rifle. That's the least he carries. Outside, you know, outside other life ammunition, he carries, the least he can carry is just a rifle. So for you to come and terrorists, most terrorist organizations, they are masked, you know, personalities. They are masked. They wear masks. You don't know their identities. But these persons, you know them. You see them on the street, and you think, you know, by labeling them a terrorist group, we suppress them, but it didn't. Yesterday, 2 days ago, they were still protesting in Naba. It can't stop that, because you remember I was telling people that where the government got it wrong was when they detained Nnamdi Kanu for too long. They detained him, you know, and charged him for treason. What is treason? Treason is when you collude with the enemy, you get, to, you know, to backstab the government of your country. You provide aids and other to your enemy. It gets trying to, you know, to fight against your own government. So would you say that Nnamdi Kanu should be charged based on that, if that is the essence, the real definition of you know, treason? So you see, so when the government charged him for treason, there was no evidence to prove that, and that was why the thing prolonged for too long. So coming back to your question, IPOB as a terrorist organization, the government got it all wrong. They got it all wrong, and they should look into that. I tell you the truth, things will unveil. I think they should have gone. They should have by now gone to court to appeal that judgment. So the government got it all wrong, and they should look into that. I believe that, you know, even when the acting president then, that is Osibanjo, you know, made a statement that hate speech, you know, is an act of, you know, terrorism. People, even scholars, they told me, no, sir, you got it all wrong here. You got it all wrong here. How can you? Because I believe that, you know, hate actions, you know, provokes hate speech. This is my brother, and we are from the same parents, that is Nigeria. And my parents, they continue to give him money more than myself. They've given 20,000 naira, and when I come home, they give me 5,000 naira. One day, I will boil and start cursing my parents. You get? That is it. So, but when you do things amicably and give, you know, do things the way it should be done, there is equity, there is justice.
So you're saying that the Python dance operation wasn't necessary in the first place?
It wasn't necessary. Why would you do? And let me also clarify issues here. You get? I am a scholar, and I believe that you know, government deploying forces to the southeast could name Python dance, Operation Python dance. There was no need for that. Before then, southeast was not under any form of violent conflict. There was nothing like that in the southeast. And even if government wants to deploy, I believe that in international communities, even if there was a conflict in the southeast, what should have deployed was the police. Should have been the police. But now our military is now overstretched. Everything you deploy okay, 2 years ago during the protest, now the IPOB members, from what, you know, was revealed from research and investigations from the Amnesty International and even other they came up that these persons, they were armless and you shot them at the back. So they were not carrying any arms. So they were protesting. And what before them, IPOB, they were not even protesting. If you remember, before Nnamdi Kanu, it was after his arrest that IPOB now started going about the street, protesting. So they were protesting, and you started shooting them. Military, they are not good for what? For bringing peace, peacekeeping. No. If you want to restore peace and order, what you send is what? The police. What is that's why if you look at the G20 meeting at Germany, there was a protest trying to stop world leaders from getting access to that place. Did they deploy military? It was police all over, because that is what? An internal security. But any security challenge that has to do with what? The borders and the frontiers of a nation, that is where you deploy the military. But it is not in an internal security. That means you don't have any regard for the police. So the police should be regulated to the background. Okay, let us agree that you have made a mistake by deploying the military. Why should it be codenamed Operation Python Dance? You know what a python is? In our place, they call it AK. And what AK does, what the python does, before it wants to kill a prey, it dances around it and rolls itself around it and stretches itself and kill and swallow it. So that is what you are bringing to the southeast, where there was no conflict. And in the south, the other time you brought in Operation Crocodile Tears, which you said that we are going to still enforce. Okay, why didn't you, bring in? Okay, since you have made up your mind that you must, as a president, the constitution entitles you to deploy any form of force. Okay, why didn't you could name it maybe Operation Dove? Because Dove is known for peacekeeping. It's a symbol of peace. Dove. Okay, why not? Why didn't you deploy the military and name them Operation Dove or something that could sound unity and not Python Dance? Python Dance means you are out for violence. You are out to kill and swallow your fellow citizens. So that is where the government got it wrong. So it was wrong for the government to deploy military forces, in such regard. So people are, comparing to, Boko Haram and so. IPOB members, I must tell you, because I am from the southeast. I grew up, where this tension is growing, but I'm from Imo State. My parents are also in currently, and I have my friends there, and they have told me the state of things going on there, and it's horrible. And you tell me that these persons, they were all peaceful before the military arrived. Military, what stopped them from giving prior information to the Southeasterners? Okay, that we don't mean evil, don't misunderstand this Python dance of a thing. But my problem is that why must you even name it Python dance? So that's it.
Sir, do you think that this administration is deliberately trying to stifle free speech and dissent in the Nigerian society?
Yeah, well, from the bill that was first passed on limiting speeches on social media, which was protested at the beginning of the year.
Well, it was stepped down.
Before it was stepped down, I feel from the actions of the government, it might not really mean they are restraining speech at a full extent, but they are doing it with some of their actions. Now, there was an incident of a man who actually accosted a governor of the state and was beaten, which the guy posted some pictures and stuff like that on social media. And he tends to give a negative vibe about officials and the way they run their things. Now, I feel Nigeria should have grown past, and our leaders should have grown past criticism, because you can't be a leader and not be, even if you are not a leader, if you are a follower, you still be criticized. No matter what you do, step on water, people will say you can't swim. So the leaders should even they should take criticism as feedback for them, and that should make them actually go back to the drawing board and see where they got it wrong. Now, Nigeria, for me, I believe in one Nigeria. Now, but if at the large extent that we now get to secede, now there would be a ripple effect, because by the time you secede and the Igbos go their own way, I can bet you in the next 10 to 15 years, and that group will come up and want to leave. Now, from there, you start having small states that would actually start breaking away, and the foundation of what you have built for over 50-something years is destroyed. Now, some people might have said, okay, Nigeria is a contract. People are, yes, some people have already said that Nigeria is just a form of contract that some people are just controlling the nation. Now, you don't get to explain how that contract is because there are no evidences to it. But with the actions of the politicians, you know, people tend to read their actions, and if they are not bringing out those positive vibes to citizens, those kind of stories that create hate speeches will still continue to roll around. So the first thing for the leaders to do is they should go back to the drawing board. Now, they should look at the marginalized sections of Nigeria. It's not only the Igbos that are marginalized. Other states, even inside the Igbo community, there are some other communities in the Igbo community that, if they succeed, will still be marginalized.
No, that is left for them. Every ethnic group has that.
That will still be marginalized. So the government needs to just look at that, then try to create that structuring again. And there have been information about and talks about restructuring. Now the government needs to look at, because Nigeria cannot just be imbalanced with funding, some states having more funds than others, some states generating more internal revenue than others. Now the spread of industry, number one, is what they should look for. Now, you know, like I said, Igbos go outside their country, their state. They go to Lagos, they go to Benin, they go to Edo State, they come to as far as Kanu and still make business, and they make business happen there, wherever they are. Now, the government needs to look at, why can't they make structures for Igbos to be in their place and develop their place? If their place is developed, they don't need to go outside, and the capital still runs back to Nigeria, which is for the benefit of them, of the people. You get? So the government needs to just look at that. Then the Hausas also, the Hausas too are very industrious people.
Gerald, in the course of this IPOB Nigerian military attack/clash, there were two videos that were, that went viral to social media. There was one where the Nigerian army brutally attacked IPOB members and asked them to drink and bathe in water. And then there was another video where IPOB supporters/members, ransacked buses, searched through buses, looking for Hausa folks to kill or to attack. Now, there were persons who said that the first video should go viral. People need to see that. But the second, no, that should not go viral. Now, how in this whole event did the fight between the Nigerian army and IPOB members become a fight between Igbos and Hausa folks?
Okay, actually, you know that there's one thing about the Nigerian state which is very, very interesting. Anything that happens within the Nigerian state, whether it affects, whether it is it started as a religious fight or whatever, it will definitely bounce back, to ethnic, conflicts. So the issue is that I believe that some persons have seen the Nigerian state because they feel that they have been made to understand that Nigeria belongs, and which a section of the country believes that Nigeria is meant for them, and the other persons are just, they are the landlords and the other persons are just the tenants. So in that very fight, in that very issue you raised, I wasn't expecting, I believe that, that was where, because if there were no attack on IPOB members, I do not think that they would have, started, that very violent conflict against the Hausans, you get, and to the extent that they started searching for areas to, and that there were also reprisal attacks in Jos and Kaduna. And that whatever that happens in the north, in the east, most times, you definitely get a reprisal attack, from the north. But that is where they got it all wrong, you get? Because I believe that was why I wanted to call on them that if you want to get a referendum, if you want to get anything from the government, you don't follow it with violence. It's not a violent stuff, you follow issues with dialogue. I was happy when our president was at the ongoing UN General Assembly, 72nd UN General Assembly, calling for the world leaders to dialogue with the North Korea. So which means our president embraces dialogue, and which is a very good thing. And I do not think that IPOB, seeing what has happened, you can't have two countries in one country. It is, and I think no leader will even tolerate that. You get, but I think also that the government should have approached the issue, diplomatically instead of using such. I watched the video. The video was really scary. You get, how can a military, whom you said that you were sent to protect the people, the Python stuff, that was the essence of it being in Southeast, that was peaceful. You asked your fellow citizens. I have not seen it even in foreign countries. You get, they help in rescue effort, but here our military, they are no go area. You don't. In foreign countries, I've seen so many videos, even where they help the citizens, they pamper the citizens, you get, because this is our own, unless it's an external stuff. But here, our military, they don't send. So that video was really scary. You flogging them. After flogging them, you ask them to lie on mud water, and you marched on their heads, and they drowned. They suffocated in the mud water. So that was very, very scary. You get, that could, that means what you are telling these guys is that these guys that have told the line of peaceful line that they should take to arms, which we don't pray for. You get, so the government in some of the actions, they should be able to know if we take this action against these people, what will be the what will be the consequences. You get, these are the things that the government should be looking out for. Because Nigeria is a porous state, and you know the kind of minds of people that you're dealing with. That was why I mentioned in the earlier that when you condemned a military force Python dance, you get, it raises some questions. You get, in the minds of people, they have seen that you have come to fight us, so which is very, very wrong.
Now that all of these events are unfolded, finally, what's the way forward for Nigeria and for IPOB?
If you look at the peace building process during after the end of the Nigerian Civil War, there was no peace building process established for the two regions. You get, so we it is just God that is just keeping us. We just came together and started living together, and that is that. And the issues were not addressed. And the issue that should have even fueled more anger is that the Igbos, all the wealth they have, we are crushed to $20. Such could have fueled more anger. You get, so all these things. So there were no peace building processes that the government instituted. Though they said restructuring, rehabilitation, and all those reintegration. You get, but what you ask yourself, that the government really followed that. The solution is what? That go back to that, to address the cause of such grievances. By so all these issues will be addressed.
So sir, let's get your final word.
The Igbo leaders should come together with the three levels of society in their place to sit down and talk about how they can actually make a way for them, either to meet the government and follow a peaceful process of self-determination, or they should quell the protest of the IPOB. People should follow that path, because the monies they are making in Lagos are actually being used to develop Lagos alone. They should take part of that money. Now, it's not that they should exclude taxes and stuff. They should still follow the due process of Nigeria where they are, because the Igbo land is not outside Nigeria yet. Now, they should focus on the place where they are doing business and still focus on their own homeland.